Webinars don't work anymore. They're saturated. They're too long. Too many people are using them. They're too difficult. These are just some of the things I hear people say about webinars, and they are so wrong. I feel so sorry for those people. Here's why. So I've been talking about and teaching the webinar model for so many years now, and throughout those years, other people find a way to always hate on them, discredit them, or say they don't work. But if they don't work, how are you making millions of dollars with them every single year? Great question, little handsome man. Here's the school of thought. Let's get to it. Well, first things first, the people that are saying webinars don't work fall into one of two categories. The first category is that they genuinely don't know how to make it work. Perhaps they are using a webinar model that is now outdated. Believe it or not, it is a process that keeps evolving. We can't run webinars like we used to back in 2015, 2016, or 2017. There's a different model. There's been tweaks, there's been refinements. And so the people that are successful, myself and my clients, making millions with webinars, it's because we know what's working right now. So the first category, they don't work, they're outdated. Well, those are people that just have no clue what they're actually doing. And in just a moment, I'm going to give you those updates and those tweaks and those refinements so that you can have success with your webinars right now. But the second category is almost more concerning. This is a group of people who they have something else to sell you, so they are poo-pooing the webinar strategy to amplify what they're wanting to promote you. Maybe there's a new whiz-bang funnel that they want to get in front of you and get exposure with. So they're saying webinars don't work purely as a marketing ploy to elevate their other funnel type. In fact, there's an insanely powerful marketing strategy right here for us to learn from, and I'm going to share it with you right now. This idea of poo-pooing something else to elevate your solution can actually be used in certain areas of marketing, and it works very, very well. Let's say that I'm trying to explain that YouTube ads are really targeted, really powerful, and really profitable, and that is a way that I want my clients to be running traffic. I can A, talk about how amazing YouTube ads are, that's great, but I can also B, talk about why other platforms are no longer any good, why they're more expensive, why it's difficult to get ads approved on other platforms. And the more I push down other options, the more naturally my option becomes the obvious choice. So use that strategy in your marketing. Amplify your own message and your own solution, but at the same time, as long as it's truthful, you can talk about the disadvantages of other solutions. So now let's get into what has changed with webinars so that you are fully prepared and fully equipped to go out there and succeed with them right now. So the first thing we have to address is live versus, and you're going to have to deal with my awful handwriting, and I've done capitalized there and not capitalized there. So the first question is live versus automated. Which way should you set up a webinar funnel? There are people online that say that you need to do webinars live over and over and over again until they are perfect, and then perhaps you should automate them. Other people say you should not do automated and they don't work and you should only focus on live webinars. And other people say that you should only focus on automated and don't do any lives. I have a slightly different approach which combines all of them. I think there's a different moment in your marketing where you would use this and you would use this. Live webinars right now for cold traffic, meaning people that don't know who you are. You're running YouTube ads, you're running Facebook ads, whatever the case may be. You're putting the opportunity to register for your webinar in front of new people. Live doesn't work anymore. Attendance rates is the biggest issue. You'll have 100 people register and perhaps only 15 people show up. 15% attendance rate is awful. That means 85%. The vast majority of people you've spent your hard-earned dollars acquiring and not even seeing the webinar. It's terrible. Whereas with cold traffic, automated webinars work quite well because although it's a brand new audience, they are able to select a time that works for them, or perhaps you'll set up the webinar where they just watch it instantly right there, and that works far better than saying, hey, I'm running a webinar next week on Thursday, and just hoping that a brand new audience will remember that and show up. Very, very slim. So here is my rule of thumb for you, and it's exactly how I teach this to my clients. Live webinars should only be used, not for cold traffic, but warm traffic. Warm traffic would be a social media following that you might be inviting to a webinar, an email list. Maybe it's people that you know physically around you in close proximity. If it's a warm market, they're far more likely to actually show up because they're invested in you and your brand. If you are going out to a brand new audience, you should not do live, you should do automated. Now let me give you a tip on what type of automated webinar you should set up, because there's a bunch of different ways this can be done. Perhaps you've been to those web pages where you're registering for a webinar and it tells you which session would you like to arrive on. You can watch later on today at 4 p.m, you can watch it tonight at 9 p.m, you can watch it tomorrow at 5 p.m, and there's loads of different scheduling options. That used to work. It doesn't work as well anymore. You know what's working the best for us right now is what we call just in time. Just in time is what is working the best for us right now. This is essentially where you set up a webinar that as soon as someone lands on the page, the webinar presentation is always running every 15 minutes. So regardless of when they hit the page, there's only going to be a few minutes left before the next session runs. So whenever they land on the page, they just naturally are positioned and opted in for the next available slot, always a few minutes away. We have found this works incredibly well, particularly for cold traffic. Our registration rates are very high, it keeps our lead cost low, and our attendance rate is really, really high as well. We'll see 60, 70, even 80% of people that register actually attend the presentation. So although live webinars have their place with a warm audience, you are going to use them up very quickly. Automated is the way to go for you to scale your webinar because you always want new traffic. So now we need to talk about the funnel. Now I'm only going to go into this very briefly because I'm actually going to give you this free resource that's an amazing guide that walks you through a webinar funnel and all the elements that you need every step of the way, and that link is in the description box. But I want to just share with you, you've got to keep the funnel simple. You're going to have your registration page. Your registration page is going to take them to a confirmation page. The confirmation page is going to have a timer counting down for when the webinar is due to start. So then you'll have the webinar itself. And then of course, at the end of the webinar, you're going to have your call to action, either to buy something, or I'm actually going to put that call to action, either to buy something or perhaps to book a phone call to speak about becoming a client. And we're just going to have a couple of emails in here. One email that just reminds them about the webinar they've just registered for. And then after the webinar has happened, we're just going to have a few more emails that basically take them to a replay page. And that replay page gives them an option to check out the webinar that they missed. As I told you, 80% of people that register will actually see this. So by emailing out a replay page, we're only really getting the attention of the 20% of people that missed it, or maybe a portion of the 80% that needed to leave early, and now they've got another chance to check it out. The priority here is that people watch this in the webinar environment. That is absolutely the priority, but this is going to get you a few extra sales by implementing some very simple follow-up and giving them a second chance at the call to action. That is it. There are people online that talk about all this complicated marketing funnel shenanigans, and you don't need it. You need a simple funnel that is orchestrated perfectly, and that's what I'm going to share with you right here. It's called the Webinar Funnel Cheat Sheet, and like I mentioned, it literally walks you through every page in the funnel, all the messaging that is needed, and this is literally my $1 million webinar blueprint. You're going to absolutely love it. There's a link in the description box. Do not leave this video without grabbing that resource. It is amazing. So here's the next mistake that people are making, and this is actually where people are trying to do something good. They are actually trying to move with the times and tweak and adapt to how things are evolving, but they're making a big mistake. And here's the mistake. People say, well, if we're doing a just-in-time webinar where someone is registering and the webinar is readily available straight away, then why are we bothering with all of this replay stuff and these extra emails? And why don't we eliminate the webinar itself and the confirmation page? And why don't we instead have someone register for our not webinar now, but just a video on a page? So they just land straight on the page, the video is there, ready to invite them to do their call to action. Perhaps you've heard this before. Why don't we just eliminate all the webinar tech and have someone just opt in for a video that instantly plays on the next page? Well, there's a bunch of issues, but here's one of the bigger ones that we have experimented with and found out. This video on this page will only get about a 40 to 50% play rate. What does that mean? It means of the people that opt in, 40 to 50% are even clicking play. versus up to 80% of people actually attending the webinar presentation. So already a webinar is winning for just eyeballs on your piece of content. It goes a step further. Of the people that are clicking play, their attention is so much lower. In a webinar environment where they can't pause it, there's a chat role that's got all the previous chat that's coming through, it feels like a presentation, their attention is far more locked in. Whereas with a video on a page, it's so much easier to just say, I'll check this out later, I'll keep that tab open, and then they never do. So for us, we're seeing that the attention span of these people just goes through the toilet. So we're getting less people clicking play, and the people that do click play are not even paying attention. Whereas if we use a webinar, and it's not that difficult to set up if you do it properly, you'll have a bunch of people actually watching the presentation, they'll be glued to it, they'll watch it right to the end, and you'll have a lot of people taking the action out the other end. At least that has been our experience. If you're enjoying this content, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell button so you're notified when we put new videos out, because like this, we are constantly updating our YouTube community on how these marketing funnels and strategies are evolving over time. You want to be in the loop, so subscribe to the channel. There's a whole host of other reasons that I could go into as to why webinars still work now, and they are amazing at turning strangers into clients. But hopefully this has convinced you enough that you start exploring this avenue for yourself and your business. So I'm hoping you enjoyed today's training, and don't forget, grab my webinar funnel cheat sheet. This is my $1 million webinar blueprint. You're going to absolutely love this thing. It's in the description box. Click that. Also, if you want to see the traffic that we use to send into our webinars, this video is for you right now. Go check it out, and I'll see you later.